In Willoughby, schools don't just affect education. They affect what kind of home you can afford. Condos, townhomes, detached homes can all fall under different school paths, and that directly affects your budget, lifestyle, and long-term planning for families. In this video, I'm connecting the dots between school catchments and housing so that you can see catchment by catchment what families are buying in each area and why. I'm Jamie Lieb, your local realtor and educator, and the goal here isn't to talk exact numbers. It's to give you a realistic starting point so you don't fall in love with listings that don't match with the school paths you want for your child. Here's a quick recap from my last episode because this matters for everything we're about to talk about today. In Willoughby, elementary runs from kindergarten to grade 5, middle school runs from grade 6 to grade 8, and high school starts in grade 9 and ends in grade 12. This school structure, plus the fact that Willoughby is still growing, means that school boundaries are tied very close to capacity. And because of that, housing around each school isn't random. Developers didn't just build the same thing everywhere. Some corridors are condo-heavy, some pockets leaned heavily into townhomes, and others still have detached homes mixed in. So when families say things like, I want my kid to go to a brand new school like Josette Dandrin, or I want my kid to go to an already established school like R.C. Garnet, what they really might be asking is, what kind of housing does that mean for us? And that's what I'm going to walk you through today. Let's start with Josette Dandrin Elementary and the broader Latimer area. This pocket usually feeds into Peter Ewart for middle school, and then either R.E. Mountain or the future Smith Secondary, depending on the street and how boundaries change over time. This is one of Willoughby's newest area, and you really feel that when you walk around. Most of the development here has been newer, and that shows in the housing. What you'll mostly see are newer mid-rise condos, usually 2 or 3 bedrooms, a lot of 3 or 4 bedroom townhomes, and a smaller number of newer detached homes or duplexes, typically at the top end of the budget. From a lifestyle perspective, this area tends to appeal to families who are comfortable with newer, master-planned communities and the reality of ongoing growth. It's a more urban, village-style environment where schools, services, and daily amenities are built into the neighborhood rather than spread out. So if you picture walking your kids to school, maybe grabbing a coffee nearby, and living in something newer, this catchment usually means condos and townhomes first, with detached homes at the top end. Next up is the Donna Gabriel Robbins, Lynn Phipps, Richard Bulpett, and Yorkson area, which typically feeds into Yorkson Creek Middle School and R.E. Mountain Secondary. Yorkson is one of the most family-dense parts of Willoughby, and all 3 elementary schools grouped in this catchment serve large clusters of townhomes and compact detached homes in this pocket. Here, you'll see a lot of 3-bedroom townhomes, many with tandem or side-by-side garages, a strong mix of 2 and 3-bedroom condos, especially along 83rd A Ave, 84th, and 85th Ave, and compact detached homes tucked in between townhome streets. Families who tend to target this group of schools are often young to mid-career, dual income, wanting to walk or bike to school, and using parks, sports fields, and Willoughby Town Center as part of their everyday life. Housing-wise, the progression looks like condos, 3-bedroom townhomes, to detached later on if budget allows. Detached homes are absolutely here, but for many households, they're the move-up option and not the starting point. The trade-off in this catchment is pretty clear. You're getting walkability, amenities, and strong school pathways to Yorkson Creek and R.E. Mountain, but usually in a townhome or a compact detached home and not in a big traditional lot. One thing families are paying close attention to in this area is busing. Langley School District recently let families west of 200 know that the bus route to Donna Gabriel Robbins could be removed because this area is considered now walking distance, even though this walk is close to 3 kilometers away with busy roads and limited sidewalks. If busing is important for your family, I'd recommend checking the district's transportation frequently asked question to understand the current eligibility rules, and then keeping an eye on updates from the district. It's also helpful to follow local parent groups since things like petitions or route decisions often show up there first. Because busing policies can change year to year, especially in growing areas like Willoughby, staying informed is really the best approach. Now let's move closer to the 200th Street corridor around Willoughby Elementary and R.C. Garnet. This area represents some of the earlier phases of Willoughby's growth, and you can really see that in the age of the homes and the streets compared to Latimer or Central Yorkson. Here, you'll typically find older townhome complexes from the early 2000s, a mix of detached homes on smaller lots, and an increase of condo development along major roads. This pocket is more road-oriented. You're closer to 200th Street, Highway 1, and major commuting routes, which can be a big plus if one or both adults commute to work. The trade-off tends to be a little less of that village-style walkability Willoughby, but sometimes more square footage or yard for a similar budget compared to the newer pockets in Latimer and Yorkson. If your priorities are space, commute efficiency, and you're okay being close to main roads, this catchment often offers flexibility. Finally, let's talk about Langley Meadows and the eastern edge of Willoughby. This area still connects into the Willoughby school network, but it sits closer to Willowbrook and Langley City, and the housing reflects that. Here, the mix shifts again. More older detached homes with driveways and yards, townhomes from a range of different eras, and easier access to shopping, services, and Langley City amenities. This pocket can work really well for families who want land and parking, don't mind driving a bit to school or amenities, and are open to cosmetic updates over time. For families coming from places like Brookswood or Cloverdale, this area seems to be a happy middle ground. Still connected to Willoughby schools and feeder schools, but with a more traditional suburban feel and more opportunity to add value through renovations. So how do you line up budget with these catchments? Very generally, and this will shift over time, condos are usually the entry points into the Willoughby catchment. Townhomes are the sweet spot for school-focused families, and detached homes are the stretch, especially near newer schools. The better question isn't just how much do we want to spend, it's do we want to walk to school or is driving okay? Do we need space now or can we grow into it? Do we want newer construction or do we want more land? And how important is commute time for us? Once you answer those, the right catchment usually narrows itself down pretty quickly. If schools are your number one priority, here's a simple way to approach your search. Instead of trying to keep every option open, pick one or two school paths that actually make sense for your family, whether that's Latimer, Yorkson, the 200 Street side, or Langley Meadows. The next step is being really honest about housing type. If a condo works for you, your options open up a lot. If you're set on a townhome, you're usually looking at more specific areas. And if detached is a must, that often means stretching the budget or being comfortable with an older home. Once you've done that, you can overlay your budget onto those school areas. This is usually where things become much clearer, and where having someone who understands both the school system and the housing market can save families a lot of time, stress, and emotional ups and downs. If you'd like a custom breakdown for your family, like the school paths you're considering or the types of home that actually fit your budget, feel free to reach out using the link below, and I'll be happy to point you in the right direction. I also share school updates, catchment information, and real-time housing insights in my Facebook community group called Explore Langley Schools and Neighborhood, so you're welcome to join us there if you want to stay ahead of changes in Willoughby. Let's continue to explore Langley, where learning meets living.